Next up at UFC Vegas 100, we have Matt the Semelsberger taking on Charlie Radtke. Matt Semelsberger 10-3 in his career. 1-4 though in his last 5. He is on a 3-fight skid, taking on Charlie, former Lock of the Week Radtke. 9-4 in his career, 4-1 in his last 5, coming off his first UFC loss. Charlie Radtke is an athletic grappler. He lowers his level, he takes good shots, he immediately starts working for positions. But you may not know that if you have only seen his UFC fights, because in the UFC, he's a powerful striker. He's always down to throw. But pre-UFC, he's a grappler. He gets to the ground, he's controlled and dangerous. He hunts for submissions. He looks for transitions. He works well between the two. He does chase every now and then, pulling guillotines and missing out on those positions, but he is dangerous. He's got good hands. He will come forward. He is not afraid of an actual fist fight. He does tend to slow down if the fights go on. He can be hittable, but he's usually pretty tough. He throws with power, and he will be there in your face. He's coming off that KO loss to Carlos Prates. Taking on Matt Semelsberger. Matt Semelsberger is an aggressive striker. He's going to march forward. Good leg kicks, good body work, plenty of power, both hands. He's got 10 knockdowns in 10 UFC fights. The marching forward can break a lot of people because they're just not ready for the constant pressure. But it does also set him up to be taken down. It leaves him open. He has a 45% takedown defense. He's given up 19 takedowns, 7 of which were in his last fight to Preston Parsons. And Matt Semelsberger is always tough, but he's not very good. And I don't think he's going to be very different here. I think he's going to be very tough. I don't think he's going to be the better actual fighter. I think Charlie lands the better shots, gets a couple of takedowns if he needs them, and I think he can win this fight. Matt's toughness will keep him in it. Matt has certainly, without question, fought the much higher level of opponent. But I think Charlie, if he uses the grappling and mixes all that in, can win this fight. So Charlie is going to be the pick, and I think the odds are probably where they should be. They widened a tiny bit. They were 47 the other day, but I think this is where it should be. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I assume that record's not right for Matt Semelsberger.
Y'all, actually, real quick before you do that, you know what's so funny? In my quick picks video, on this slide right here, I did a rant. Some guys showed up to my quick pick. So my quick pick video, they get dropped on Sunday mornings, and they usually get a good amount of
And a good-looking thumbnail on that.
That is a great thumbnail. Thank you, Jacob. The new thumbnail is all Jacob this morning.
Anything to keep my mind off of what's happening in my personal life.
I have yard work, if that'll help. Bring you back to your youth. The quick picks video usually gets a lot of positive, love these videos, thanks so much, I love the early, coffee with it, shit like that. And it's great, I love it. And it bothers some people. Our success bothers people. That's just life. And somebody last week commented, what are you talking about? He's the hardest working man. All he does is click the camera on and just start blabbing.
So true.
And that clicked in my head on this slide where I told that story. And I was like, you know how much effort? I'm like, look at this slide. These are custom graphics. Where do you think these numbers come from? I have to watch the tape. I got to build it. And I ranted about how nice these graphics are. I had no idea that 10-3 was wrong until somebody commented, the most Angelo thing in the world is bragging about his custom graphics while having the wrong record for Matt Semelsberger on the screen. And I was like, that is a very Angelo thing to do.
It's got to be embarrassing. It's got to, just like when I was texting my parents about this girl and how much I liked her. And, just for literally 2 weeks later for her to break my heart,
That is embarrassing because they're going to ask now. You have to explain.
Oh, did you guys have a good Christmas?
Yikes. Why don't you get your mind off that and let us know who you think wins this fight?
Listen, Chuck Buffalo was my lock of the week against fucking Carlos Prates, which
hindsight's 2020.
At this point, to see him on the same card, to see Prates at a fucking minus 700, minus 800, is pretty wild. But the reason why he was my lock of the week is because I picked my lock of the week because I know Most of my lock of the weeks are, if anything, they're dogs. They usually bring forward pressure, and they're usually pretty well rounded. And that's kind of what sums up Charlie Radtke. I mean, he is a well-rounded guy. He's a dog. He will come forward. And against Prates, who didn't look great against Trevin until he found that knockout, I thought he was going to be able to do enough. He was actually having okay success in there. And then Prates pointed at his liver and said, "I'm about to fuck you up your liver." And then fucking kneed him right in the liver. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. Literally points like, "Here it comes." And then fucking kneed him. And, body shots are one of those things you really can't out-tough. So it is what it is. But, Matt Semelsberger to me is a type of fighter that is well-rounded, pretty good everywhere. But I mentioned it last week that Trevin Giles was a guy that seemed to just always find ways to lose fights. Right? And when you watch that fight against Mike Malott, he kind of found a way to just lose that fight because Mike Malott wasn't really doing anything, but Trevin just didn't do anything else. He could have just done a little bit more and probably could have won that fight. And then, lo and behold, Trevin just found a way to lose the fight. And that's how Matt Semelsberger's career has kind of been up to this point. He's good. He'll be winning. It just seems like either luck or abilities or whatever, he just finds ways to lose fights. So even if he has early success, I think Charlie's going to be able to kind of work through that as people have shown against Matt Semelsberger. And Matt Semelsberger has shown that as fight goes on, he kind of starts fading and fading and fading. And I think Charlie is going to be growing as Matt Semelsberger is going to be fading, and he could take over in the second and third round. So I'm all over Chuck Buffalo here. And here's my lock of the week for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, he should get it done. It's nice to see him in this spot here because this is a fight that'll give him a little bit of a test. We'll find out how good he is. Matt Semelsberger's, he can do all the things. He's not great at anything, but he can do all the things, and he's very, very tough. So this will be a fun fight. I'm looking forward to it. Charlie's not afraid of a fight. Matt's not afraid of a fight. It should be a good time. $8,500 in DraftKings Fantasy. That's another tricky one because Matt's not the type of guy you're just going to get out of there. He's very, very tough. I also was shocked that he's only 31. He's the younger fighter here. That was surprising.
The craziest thing in the world is Kevin Lee's only 32.
Really? That is crazy. So I guess Keith Lee is his older brother then?
I don't know, but
he's
had a long career already, and then now he's like trying to already come back at like 32 or 33, whatever he is now. So
there's a bunch of fighters that I just assume. Cody Garbrandt's another one. We'll get to him. You just assume he's 38. He's not. We're both on the Charlie Radtke side, $8,500 in DraftKings Fantasy. I'll have to look at that a little closer, see what he scored when he beat Blood Diamond. This could look somewhat similar with a little bit more activity. But if you do want to unlock all the picks, the bets, the tools, the round line leans, the artificial intelligence, every single thing that we do, both on the betting side and the daily fantasy side, you can do so now. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. It is only $10 for an entire month. That month will include UFC 309, which is next weekend. There's another burner account, Jacob's STD scare, and then a couple of blisters on a lip. These people are wildly quick. Remember it was Mama Tiff? It's crazy how fast they come up with this shit. Crazy. The guy who made Mama Tiff, he made a few others. I forget what one was, but it was another like funny trolling one. And I guess he was telling me, he called into one of the live shows once, it's Gucci Gill, that YouTube wouldn't let him log out of that account for whatever reason. So now all his, like everything he does on YouTube is under that stupid burner name. And that's called karma.